But first up is the coup attack on President Trump. Now, you notice I use the word coup and not impeachment, because impeachment suggests constitutionality, a regular process, legality. None of that is present here. As I have highlighted for you, you have this complaint, which in my view is an illegal leak tied up in the bow of a whistleblower complaint to disguise its dishonesty and the fact that there was a spy operation, again, against President Trump, being used to harass the president with immediate demands for documents without subpoenas, demanding people come forward and be deposed without protections as the law requires. And the speed tells you that it's not legitimate. The lack of due process tells you it's not legitimate. The corruption, evidently, behind the whole whistleblower process tells you it's not legitimate. And so when you tell me that it's impeachment and it's therefore legitimate, I don't buy it. And that's why I call it a coup. We have an abuse of power by the House to remove the president for not a high crime and misdemeanor, but for trying, it looks like, to investigate the corruption that was targeting him over the years and the corruption involving top people in the Obama administration, namely Vice President Biden. It's just out today, or it's just out this week, that Adam Schiff, contrary to his assertions and his, I would say, suggestions to the contrary, was in contact with this CIA operative before he filed the complaint. Why is that important? A, it shows you the partisan nature of what was going on. He contacted the Democratic intelligence staff and Schiff was briefed on it. B, it shows you that Schiff was withholding a material fact from you and lying about it. He was asked if he was in contact with the whistleblower, and he said, we weren't. And in other statements, he certainly implied he wasn't. In fact, he was. They came to them. They suggested he get a lawyer and file a complaint. That's how they knew about the complaint. It was a setup. And by communicating directly with Congress, the whistleblower isn't a whistleblower because the law doesn't allow you to communicate with Congress and gain whistleblower protections. So now you have Schiff, and I kind of half-jokingly have said that the complaint was written as if Schiff had written it. Well, I was pretty darn close to the truth, wasn't I? Of course, I wasn't the only one who thought that. But now it's confirmed that Schiff was in on this attack on Trump. It's almost exactly like the smear on Kavanaugh. Remember how that happened? You would have thought that this witness came up and, oh my gosh, we gotta listen to her. When in fact she had contacted the Democrats who had advised her and worked with her, and then they pretended it was an independent witness. There's nothing that leads us to believe here that this is an independent witness against the president. Indeed, the complaint suggests and admits he has no firsthand information. And they're expecting the President of the United States to start turning over documents to this man, Adam Schiff. Remember, Judicial Watch has 2 ethics complaints against him: mishandling classified information and improper communication with anti-Trump witnesses. Oh, look what happened again this time. Communications about the president's communications with foreign officials, any information about it, that would have been classified. His communication with this witness, dishonest communications with the witness, because he didn't tell us about it. If it was no big deal, he should have disclosed it in the beginning. But instead, they needed to get this garbage smear into the bloodstream of public discourse to generate the impeachment push. And this is why they want to move speedily. This is why they don't want the rule of law to prevail and the president to be able to defend himself. If it was a constitutional process, this would come out in a wash. But it's not a constitutional process, it's a coup. And with a coup, you need to attack quickly and surely. And of course, in many ways, it's been a slow motion coup as well, because it began even before he was elected. Or after, actually it began as soon as he was elected. They started trying to undermine him in a seditious conspiracy. What's hilarious is, I started calling it a coup. I'm not the only one to do that, but I think it's fair to say Judicial Watch has shown leadership from the beginning in highlighting the worst corruption scandal in American history. The president started calling it a coup this week too. So the media has glommed onto the fact that I've been calling it a coup, the president's been calling it a coup, and the New York Times wrote a story that says, with the headline essentially says it's not a coup. Don't worry, folks, it's not a coup. What a joke. And they start pretending to cite dictionary definitions of what a coup is and saying this doesn't cover it. Are you kidding me? There's not a good faith basis for impeachment. There's criminal activity potentially behind the communications with Congress, behind the alleged complaints about Trump, because they arise from improperly obtained material. The phone call itself shows nothing was done wrong. Nothing was inappropriate. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, it is as much about getting Trump, it's not as much about getting Trump as it is protecting them, meaning Democratic Party top people like Joe Biden, like Hillary Clinton, from criminal prosecution. And you'll note this week also, they were leaking the fact that the president, as he has said he would do, was communicating with foreign leaders about assisting in Attorney General Barr's investigation into Spygate and whether there were abuses. So you have an ongoing Justice Department investigation with criminal implications that is being obstructed now. So you got this coup attack, kind of a coordinated obstruction of justice campaign. Don't tell me it ain't a coup. Lawlessness is run amok within the administration in terms of the deep state actors who are acting as promised. You may recall there was a piece in the New York Times late last year, or about a year ago, an anonymous bureaucrat saying that he's out to undermine Trump. The president's talking about suing. I mean, he should think about suing. Should sue a whole lot of them for what was done to him during Mueller and before then during the campaign, and what's being done to him now. You know, guys, this is not an attack on President Trump. Well, obviously it is. But it's also an attack on you. If you're a citizen or you seek the protection of the United States Constitution, they're trying to tear that apart. Our republic is at stake. And you see more evident deep state corruption. You have the ICIG. I've warned you about inspector generals, haven't I? They're usually there to make sure that unpopular people are targeted. If you're a real whistleblower, the last thing you do is you go to the IG. Because IGs, in my view, are often used to target whistleblowers. This guy wasn't a whistleblower, or gal, I don't know who he is, but it's, and of course, he or she, no, it was a group. And they don't want you to know who this person is. They don't want you to know who this person worked with, but they're expecting the President of the United States to turn material over to the compromised Mr. Schiff to answer allegations, demonstrably false allegations, because the complaint mischaracterizes the underlying information it purports to complain about, namely the transcript and key facts about what went on, spends a lot of time quoting anti-Trump news articles about Mr. Trump. And the president is expected to answer these anonymous accusations in some sort of star chamber-like proceeding? No way, Jose. Secretary Pompeo objected to this outrageous attack on the State Department. He alleged that the Democrats were calling staffers up, telling them not to hire lawyers. You can't cooperate with that criminality, that lawlessness. They don't want to freeze the president. They don't want him to talk to his attorney general. They don't want him to talk to the Secretary of State. They don't want him to talk to foreign leaders. It is a coup. And you can call it impeachment if you want, but it's an abuse of the impeachment power. And those promoting it should be held accountable. And frankly, they should hear from you. And anyone who, and I tell you, looking at the weak defense of our Constitution and the president, the left has gone nuclear. And those who would be defenders of the rule of law and, you know, the Republicans on the Hill, they seem to be still looking for their car keys. Judicial Watch stepped up with a lawsuit against the State Department for the documents on Biden's corruption in the Ukraine, the firing of that prosecutor that was looking into his son after Biden pressured them to withhold, pressured them by threatening to withhold $1 billion. If it were a regular impeachment inquiry, the president could say, I want to bring Biden in as a witness. I want to bring Hunter Biden in as a witness. Hey, I may want to talk to Adam Schiff. I want to talk to this whistleblower. I want to talk to who he talked to. Another thing I suggest the president do is to file a criminal complaint or to direct the Attorney General, because he is president after all, to do a criminal investigation about how this complaint came about. Because I said, because it necessarily relies on classified information and violates his right to keep his communications with foreign leaders confidential, or the specifics of them. So call your members of Congress, call your senators at 202-225-3121. That's 202-225-3121. Put down what you're doing and make the call. Write an email, write a letter, send a postcard. Go to the post office, they have postcards there. Your members need to hear from you. Your representatives need to hear from you. Write a letter to the editor. Be active online. Learn about the information Judicial Watch is telling you here today. We have some of the first-hand information, and obviously we've been tracking what's been going on very carefully. So you can follow us online on Twitter and Facebook, etc. Go look at our videos on our YouTube site. I mean, you'll see my interviews. I've talked extensively about this, not only on our YouTube channel, I was on Fox News talking about it. Get the word out. Our republic's at stake.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.